So hello everyone and welcome to this week's PTC Talks, where I'm honored by having Arthur from Schaeffler and Andreas from Transition Technologies, PSC, for a session around end-to-end order and workflow management. First, just a very brief introduction by me. And my name is Torbjörn Peterson and I'm the Alliance Manager for PTC, leading the PTC Talks, where we invite customers and partners for some inspiration on digital transformation to see what is possible and how to make it all happen. And we are running these webinars on Friday, same time, with topics around either manufacturing, services, or engineering. You may find all the recordings from the past sessions at the registration site. The agenda for today's session is first a quick overview of PTC by me, and then Arthur and Andreas will run the show and touch base on a few challenges, how to address these, and then explain some of the business outcomes. And at the end, we're also having a Q&A session, so please keep your questions to the end, or you may also put them in the chat during the session, and we will pick them up later. So a quick introduction about PTC then. PTC is a global software company with over 40 years of innovation with a headquarters in Boston. And we are serving a lot of different kind of customers worldwide, from industries such as automotive, life sciences, industrial, aerospace and defense, electronics and high tech, and also retail and consumer goods. And to make it all happen, we are also working through strategic partners like Transition Technologies, of course. So now over to you guys, Arthur and Andreas. The show is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if Andreas is now in the call.
Right, I hope so.
Not yet.
No, it's not. When I take over,
sure,
no problem. So, a short introduction from my side. My name is Arthur Govecki. I'm at Schaeffler, the product owner for the initial order process, shortcut IOP. What is the initial order process? Everything what's regarding the handling of A to D samples. And for the order generation process, you can also call it quotation process. I'm the responsible product owner for the R&D part. And normally I would have a counterpart, but he has some problems to log in. This is Andreas Kratz. He's manager for business development at TTPSC, our development partner. So, when only some words, I don't want to extend it to the Schaeffler Group. We are more than 120 employees worldwide. Since last year, we have 250 locations and 55 countries, 100 production plants and 34 R&D centers. The last three figures, the locations and plants, are important because our application, which I will show later, will affect all these locations, all the plants and all the R&D centers. When only a small overview about the product, the portfolio which Schaeffler provides to the customers. I don't want to go in detail because we need the time to explain what we have done for the initial order process with ThinkWorks in SAP. Okay, so where we are coming from. So we in Schaeffler have an existing R3 solution implemented and running in SAP. It's used by more than 7,000 R&D peoples and round about 8,000 to 9,000 logistic peoples. So in total, we come nearly to 20,000 employees which have contact to this solution. And every year we create 20,000 new items. That means 20,000 new orders in the system, because we have to know in Schaeffler, if you want to have A or D, A, B, C, D samples, it's only possible if you follow this application. So there's no way to get such parts without this process, without this application. That means this is not an optional application. This is a mandatory application in the Schaeffler Group. And I think most of you know the announcement from SAP that the R3 solution will be not supported in the future. So Schaeffler makes the decision we have to switch our R3 solution to S4. And during our S4 program, there was the decision to say, okay, all functionalities which we have in the logistic part, that means sales, production, purchasing, shipment, and so on, will stay in SAP in S4HANA, but all the R&D functions, project managers, application engineer, product designers, and so on, will not anymore work in SAP, they will work in an R&D environment, and for that we choose ThinkWorks. And only some words about how big was this group of project members for this R&D function on the ThinkWorks side. So we have 4 internal Schaeffler employees, which was in charge of architecture, writing the concept, make the tests and validation of the implemented solution, create the documentation, and also create the trainings and the training documentations. And on the other side, we have 4 TTPSC members, which was in charge of the architecture, the implementation of the application, to test and also to write the IT documentation. And all that was done in an agile project set up, also like in S4 Programmer. So only in short overview about what is the IOP and how it works. You see that we, after this decision that we have to separate the worlds, we are not anymore only in SAP, we have also ThinkWorks, that we have some activities, like I told you, that, for example, sales, logistics, a central department to create material master is working in SAP. And we have some functions in ThinkWorks, which are synchronized with SAP, which are working in the ThinkWorks environment, in the ThinkWorks application, for example, project management, application engineer, product design, make the schedule when the product structure will be finished. This happens in ThinkWorks. And we have with ThinkWorks also the connections, because some of the informations are stored in Windchill in the PDMLink. So we have also a direct connection to the Windchill PDMLink to say I maintain, for example, drawings, parts, structures, and so on. And also the Windchill has a direct connection to our S4. That means regarding for a release of a product structure, regarding the maturity level, this Windchill has an interface and transfer the informations directly to SAP, that we have our product structure, which we have created in Windchill, also available in the SAP S4 area. So hopefully now Andreas is in the call. No, he's not. So then only some words about how we have done it. Some technical informations.
Andreas is with us. Sorry.
Sorry?
Andreas is with us now.
So now I can tell it. Sorry for this one. So it works. Sorry for this one. There is in the PTC building and fire alarm. So do you hear the fire alarm, or is it fine that you hear it?
No, we don't hear it.
Okay. So we have a modern organization. So we have different APIs which we use. We have different services where we can directly access data over the REST API, where we can bring the information together in like one view. So it is a modern and intuitive user interface. We can work through the fact that we have the APIs and can share the different information on the left and on the right-hand side. We don't use always the information, so we can use the information from the enterprise system and have not to override any kind of data. So the single source of truth is still in the enterprise system, and only some information are synchronized. But this one will be explained afterwards from Arthur again. And overall, we have a very good connection. So I would still stop on it. I have a very loud context in my background, so sorry for this one.
No problem, and I will take over. So what we will show you now in the next minutes is a rough overview about the full functionality which we have implemented. What you see here is a start of, before I start the video, is our inbox, or we call it also order and workflow management, or also homepage. We have a lot of nicknames for that. The This is the start point for every R&D person who is in contact with an IOP, with handling with A to D samples. What I will show you now, and sorry for the video, but it's only in high-fly information. We cannot go so much in detail. So I will start now the video. So what you see now here in this video is that we have a framework. This framework is valid for the order workflow management, also for the IOP. It's reused, and where we have some basic functionality which we can use in the IOP, in the homepage, and so on. For example, we have a help function included. If you open the help function, the system realizes in which function you are in the homepage, in the IOP, and so on, and will show all available training content regarding this topic, regarding homepage, regarding IOP, and so based on which point you press the help button. Then we have the possibility for customizing this application with some user settings. We see some general information about the connectors, the authorizations. We can customize also sidebar. We can customize how the homepage looks like. I will show you later some examples. We can also manage the delegates who is able to join my inbox and see my work content and take over the job if I, for example, in vacation or something. So now only some examples about the display. This is only a display of my jobs when I have take over the delegates, when I see also the task for my delegates, and I can switch also to a table view if I don't like the graphic stuff. Then only some information about what we have connected. We have connected, for example, Windchill. There's a direct connection. I can jump to Windchill, proceed my steps in Windchill. So every time if you see any fields which is blue, this means I can jump somewhere. When, for example, I can jump to a SIP object, because if you remember, we divide it into objects. This is now the content on the SIP side, synchronized with the ThinkWorks side. Or, for example, if you have a name, then you can click there. When you jump directly in the Teams chat, you can telephone, comments, work together. So every time if you see something in blue, we have a direct connection to this application. So the user has here the possibility to link an R&D IOP for repeat orders or create a complete new R&D IOP. If the user uses that, then automatically in the background, the system will link this R&D IOP with an SIP IOP. So both objects are synchronized from this point on, and we will share the information on both sides, so both sides see the same information. And now I want only to explain in a rough overview how this IOP framework looks like. You see we have also, again, the framework in the top with the help functionality, with the user settings, and so on. We have a header. The header is still in every functionality the same. That means it doesn't matter if I work now in the IOP as a project manager, as an application engineer, or so on. These informations are still every time the same. We call it project stepper. This will be the next thing which will be highlighted. In this project stepper, you'll see which activity is in ThinkWorks. These are the white icons. The gray icons are activities which are proceeded in SIP, with a traffic light to see, okay, which step is finished, which step is in work, so that the user have immediately the overview about in which process step I am. We have some additional informations coming from SIP, that the user has not the need to jump from ThinkWorks every time to SIP to collect the data. So where, based on which function I working on the ThinkWorks side, we show them different SIP data, and this is the working area. So depending on the different steps, the different function, there are different fields to maintain, different informations, the functionality which the user can proceed. And I will show you now only in a high fly which different work area you have, that we get an appearance that what we have done. For example, here the project manager can select a project number from SIP. They can insert a launch manager where they will get an email in Outlook, or they can also create a link to project link in Windchill, that we have directly the hyperlink to a project folder in Project Link. Only a rough overview. And you see, I switch now to the application engineer, so the additional information is a different one. Here, the application engineer can put in the information about, for example, after which quality document or which drawing the quality inspection has to be done, which lab office group or product designer group is responsible to create the product structure, the drawings, and so on, can maintain the drawings, can maintain the proposal of the version which has to be produced. Then again, the work area from the product design, he will maintain here which current version or which final version of a product for production has to produce. And we have also created a possibility for the partial confirmation. That means if we have a huge product structure and we didn't want to wait until the full product structure is finished or finalized, you can make a partial confirmation. We will show here the full structure of Windchill, and based on the maturity level, we have an automatism, or we can do it manually. We can select different components, different parts of the structure, and send it in advance to the production to start the production, and then we can go ahead and bring up the maturity level of a full assembly to the release level of ready for production, ready for prototype or something else, and send it then back to the production. We have also implemented an information for generation internal demands for test cases or show examples. So we need only 3 informations. This is the quantity, the date, and where the parts have to be shipped. And based on this information, the system will create a demand automatically in the background in SAP that the production can start the production and send me the parts to my desk, for example. When we can only a short overview about that we have connected the SAP. Here we will see all connected SAP IOPs related to our ThinkWorks object. And here you see a similar project stepper. Also on SAP side, we will see what is the current status, what is the process on it. You will see also the documents which we provide in ThinkWorks. It's also linked here and shown in SAP, in the SAP app. We see the comments which comes from the R&D department with some hints or some additional informations. And we see also all contact persons which was in work, in charge of the R&D IOP. Again, blue underlined, that means a direct jump to a person to inform them. So this was a really, really rough overview about the application which we have built up. Sorry for this really, really tough timeline and for this fast going through. So if we go now back to our presentation, wait a minute, sorry for that. So only a small summary about what we have done. So we implemented in total, you have seen it only because the focus was more on the ThinkWorks side, that we have implemented 8 different IOP apps on SAP side for the different functionality, sales, quality, production, and so on. We create or implement the ThinkWorks R&D IOP, which we have seen in the short overview. We also create the order and workflow management application, our homepage, our inbox. This is not an application which is only, nice to have or not in use. We have also a pilot in Italy. Our Italian production plant is since half a year working in this application in the daily business. So they are not working anymore in the R3 solution. They are still working in S4 and in ThinkWorks. And based on this R&D IOP framework, which we have created, we also implemented the RFQ, the request for quotation, the quotation process on R&D side. This was also available and is implemented. Only a rough overview about the next steps. So in April, in 2 months, we have an additional pilot for the IOP in Germany. We are in the hot phase now. Parallel to that, we will also piloting the R&D RFQ in Italy and in Germany, when we have the IOP and the RFQ running in the live system. And in the middle or in the second half of the year, we will start the industrial rollout. That means we have 6 production plants worldwide, which have to switch from R3 logistic site to S4. And these 6 production plants will affect nearly all R&D locations which we have, because we have a product running in the US, but the R&D departments are located in Mexico or in Brazil. So we have nearly all R&D locations affected. And parallel to this industrial rollout, we will also start the implementation of the release 2 new functionality optimization for the initial order process and also for the RFQ. So this was in really, really tough. Sorry for that. Short time, the presentation about what we have done with the TPC together.
Well, thanks a lot, Arthur and Andreas, for sharing this very exciting, overview here. And let's open up for some questions. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, to the guys here. So don't be shy, raise your hand, and we will, make our best to answer your questions here, and see if you have some first questions here. I think we had one here. And that was related to during the implementation, have you faced any performance issues since you are already collecting data from several systems? Arthur?
Yes, we run in some issues regarding, you have seen the homepage, because we are collecting a lot of information. You can imagine if you have several IOPs in the same time at work, if we call the data one by one, it was not useful. The loading time was so long. So we make the decision, everything what we have on the homepage, all information that you see in the table view, we store also in ThinkWorks. So we have a redundant database for this information in ThinkWorks and in SIP, and we synchronize it. And with that, we was able to handle this performance issue. In the IOP, we never have some performance issues. It was working well.
Thank you, Arthur. Another question here from the audience. How much was the total investment for implementing this solution?
The investment was 2 years of development time, concept and development time. So you can calculate, we have 8 people, 2 years working for this implementation. And on both sides, it's not only on the ThinkWorks side, it was also on the SAP side. So both together was 16 people, nearly 2 years development, test, and implementation.
Thanks for sharing. Another question here. How does the development effort in ThinkWorks compare to other technologies like SA4HANA, since you have also developed S4 IO apps for logical areas?
I think I answered it. It's nearly the same. So if you see, we have used 2 years with 8 people for the ThinkWorks, and we close work together with SAP IOP staff for the 8 other apps. We have nearly used the same time, the same effort. So there was no difference between the development time or the development effort between SAP or ThinkWorks.
Thank you.
And I think what is important, there are several apps what Arthur has explained, and the app on the SAP side was developed with SAP capabilities, and the other one was developed with the ThinkWorks capabilities, and both was on the same approach, which was really interesting because a lot of people define the one or the other one is faster and more efficient, but we have seen if you have to develop this one, it was really that we are always running in parallel on these apps.
Thanks, Andreas. Another question here also from Petri. Great work he's saying here. How much already ready API functionalities were you able to utilize from ThingWorx for the SAP interfaces?
Sorry, I didn't catch it 100%.
Right. How much already API functionalities were you able to utilize from ThingWorx for the SAP interfaces? Or maybe integration, right? Yeah.
We have used as much as possible out of the box capabilities from the APIs which are provided from SAP. And if there was an additional additional service needed, it was like provided from the provider of the SAP solution integrator.
Yeah, right. Thanks. Another question here. What is your proof of value on your end-to-end order and workflow management implementation? Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah.
What kind of KPIs have you been using, basically, right?
Yeah, I think the most big benefit which we have now is that we can reuse. In the old solution, for example, we was not able to reuse an IOP. So we have to run through the organization several times. If a customer comes with a demand, for example, I need additional 5 C samples. When we run through the whole process again, it was not possible to skip something. With this solution, it's now possible, if we have no technical change anymore, that we can skip the whole R&D phase, because the application engineer can say, I link only an existing R&D IOP, sorry, because this is the same technical content, and we can start immediately with the production office part without any involving of product design and so on. So this is really a big advantage, and this is what we want to use in the future more and more to say, okay, we have here the efficiency yet.
Arthur, would you agree to this one, that it is still a benefit too, that you don't have to work now always on this app because it is independent to any kind of update from the SAP side or from the PLM side?
Absolutely. This is the next benefit which we have. We can start this whole R&D IOP. You have seen that we have parts which are only happens in R&D area, and we have parts with SAP. We can now, we call it standalone. We can start now the R&D IOP without a real customer order, and then we can start with our work. And after the customer order, the external customer order arrives from the customer, we can link it, and so we save the time and we can use the time more efficient.
Right. Another question here, also from the audience. What are the benefits of using cloud-based solutions for order and workflow management?
Andreas?
So I think you have several possibilities. So what we see, there are sometimes possibilities or better features what you can use if you have some visualization or any kind of information what you need directly out of the PLM system. Then the ThingWorx part has an advantage. If you make the other ones on the Azure area, you don't have this kind of visualizations there. You have to work with some additional content what you have to generate. This is a little bit more tricky, but if you are only on content, you can do it on the one or on the other side. Both is working.
Yeah.
And you can combine it. So it is not that the one is like really blocking the other one. So
yeah, makes sense. Thanks. And one other quite interesting question is around compliance and regulations. So how can actually businesses ensure compliance with the regulations and standards in their order management process? How do you take that into account, sort of?
We have an authorization concept behind that. So we can only see what I'm authorized to, and also the jumps between the system. We have security levels, so this is aligned with all the systems we get the information from that we cover this request.
And
Right.
on the other side, Schaeffler has evaluated ThingWorx as in a security context. So you have to run through the whole process. This was done, and they have aligned that this could be used. So there is a security context behind ThingWorx that this is released for the usage inside of Schaeffler.
Right. Thanks. One last question here. How would you say that, business could also, leverage emerging technologies such as, AI and blockchain to enhance, the end-to-end order and workflow management solution?
Yeah, I think this is the first step. I told you we have a release 2, a release 3 is also in the pipeline. I think this is only the start of the journey. So this is not the end, this is the start. And I think we also discuss about AI, KI to implement it, to insert it. And I think there will something come, but in the future.
Right. Thank you, Arthur. So time is unfortunately running out here. So thanks everyone, as always, for joining this session here. And of course, a special thanks, for you, Andreas and Arthur, for sharing a lot of great, stuff here. So with that, I wish you all a fantastic weekend and maybe also an upcoming winter break for some people. Actually starting off to have that in the regions here. So we will actually get back, after the winter breaks, and also, announce a little bit different kind of, format of the upcoming PTC talks. So more on that, later on. So stay tuned for that and have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye so far.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.